Welcome. Today's video is all dedicated to Lumion Pro 2023 and my top 5 features why this is such an amazing software if you're designing gardens or landscapes. My name is Katarina, I'm a garden designer and I'll see you next. So welcome to another video from Garden Design Tools. In today's video we will dive deep in my top 5 features from Lumion 2023 and why this is such an indispensable software if you're a garden designer or a landscape architect. Feature number 1, it's without a doubt the plant default library and more specifically the fine detail nature library. So let's explore that feature. So if you go to the content library, you have the vegetation and nature tab on your menu. And what you have here is the fine detail plants and fine detail trees. And in the last update, Lumion actually added more vegetation, which I was really happy about. And this is such a good quality vegetation, such amazing plants that you have here available for you. So this is extra to their default library, okay? So in the fine detail nature, in trees and in vegetation, you're going to find really good quality plants. And in the last update, they added foam glow plants as well, one of my favorite sites. And not only they add species of plants, they actually add with different growths and in different seasons, okay? So here's an example that I'm just going to add. And you're going to see the quality of these plants that they were added when you actually doing the renderings, okay? Why is it important to have really good plant quality in your default library inside Lumion? It's because every time you imported a plant from another website like Max3, one of my favorites, it doesn't come with animation. What means is every time you're doing an animation, like you've seen in the beginning of this video, the plants that you've imported, okay, that you've purchased and imported into Lumion, they don't come actually with animation, so they're going to be static. The advantage you have when Lumion adds to their default library is that they come actually with animation, which means that when you're doing your animation, your presentation of your model, you have that wind, you have that flow, really important. I would love for them to add more grasses as well, please, because I have quite a lot of imported grasses, like other designers and landscapers probably. And I can't show the movement of the grasses, and we all know that grasses have an amazing impact in terms of movement in a garden, so that will be cool. So that's my number one, my top one reason why Lumion is such an amazing software for garden designers, is that from the earliest versions of Lumion, the vegetation library was really on top of their top features, okay? So you know that they put a lot of time into it, and it's not an easy thing to work with vegetation in terms of modeling, and they really put a lot of time, and that's why I think Lumion is such an amazing software. My number 2 reason why Lumion is such an amazing software is the materials library. Not only the library, the materials editor. You can add a lot of materials in here from other websites, and you have really good quality and a lot of settings to play around with the materials. So not only you have the default ones, and you have the imported ones, and some water materials as well. You have the 3D grass, so really cool. You have the leaves that you can add to materials, like you know, to pretend they are creepers and things like this. So I'm just going to show you in here. So imagine that I want to add creepers to this concrete setting here. I'm just going to show you how you do it really easy in Lumion. Imagine that you want to show some creepers. You just go to foliage in your settings. Normally, if you see the materials, they show you have this amount of settings you can play with, but if you show more, you have a lot of different things, saturation even, you can play around, and now you can colorize the leaves as well, so that's pretty cool. So Lumion just keeps adding a lot of settings to play around with, and you can customize here if you don't have that specific creeper you want, but you want to show it in a different color. Now you can do it as well, and this was in the latest update from the Lumion team. So materials, it's an amazing materials editor. You have a lot of settings to play around with. You just if you don't want to go ahead with the changes, you just don't save it. Make sure you don't check it. Included, and this is what I like for anyone LED steps, for example, you can add emissiveness to the material. So if you go here to the properties, you can have emissive length, which just means lighting in a material. So that's another really cool feature. And now you can add PBR materials as well. We will do an extra video on that and go into more detail of the quality of the files you need for good quality materials in terms of your final rendering inside Lumion. But just make sure that material editor is gotta be my second reason why Lumion is such an amazing software. Reason number 3, ease of use. User interface really simple. You can have the base of your model, you can and you should, from programs like Revit or SketchUp. Okay, so a lot of people use SketchUp, I use SketchUp. So all the modeling is done in SketchUp, and the user interface inside Lumion is very, very simple. And you can just go into your content library, and every time you want to select a plant, for example, you just go to the menu, go to the nature library. You want to search for, you can type a plant name. And they have normally in here in the menu it's a common name, but they do have tagged with the Latin name. So if you want to search for the Latin name, you probably go and you can find it. And every time you just click, and you have your plant to be placed inside the model. So it's not a drag and drop style, but it's very simple. Okay, you just click on the menu, and you have here to place with this yellow box, and it shows you the middle of the plant, so where exactly is going to be that placement. You have other types of placement in terms of vegetation, and we will go into a bit more depth because this was one of the latest updates. They improved the placement when you want to do it in clusters or in groups of plants. So that's a really nice, cool feature. But the ease of use of this software is really, really simple. And because it's real-time rendering, every time you're just seeing the effect straight away of your plant choice. So I think that's really cool because you see the effect straight away. So you just go, you know, where you want to go, and you just plant your vegetation, and if you're happy with it, that's it. Okay, so you can just see it straight away. You can change size, you can change a little bit of the green hues as well. So you have a lot of other small settings that you can play around to change the default plants. But as you can see, really nice ease of use. You have the content library where you have everything included, imported models. You have the materials, and that's the two settings in the menu that you're going to use the most. You have your landscapes, and you have your weather you can play around with. I'm using real skies right now, but normally you will play around with your model not using real skies, just the normal setting. Just probably in the sun in the maximum height, just for you to see properly everything around, and you'll play around with it with the materials and just adding the plant. So really nice software, really easy to use. Import your imported models. You have all the models imported from SketchUp. Okay, so don't forget, all the actual modeling, the 3D modeling is done in SketchUp, and in here you're just going to play around with the plants, with the textures and materials, and adding things like lighting, furniture, things like that. Okay, and of course the plants, more importantly. But the actual modeling is all done in SketchUp or Revit or another software like that. My number 4 is gotta be the quality of the photo editor inside Lumion. So this is one of my favorite parts in Lumion is when you have all your model ready and you're just choosing the right angles, the right shots to play around and to share with your clients, or for printing to use in your portfolio. And in here you have a lot of settings. And one of them, in the last update, they have now what's called LUT presets that you can add to your images. If you just go to the effects of color correction, you have here now some already done. Some presets you can choose, like architectural night, for example, golden hour, crisp morning. So some settings to play around in and just to share. And of course you can still play around with the settings here, the temperature, if you want a warmer temperature, etc. You always double click in the image if you want just a quick preview of your rendering, but you can add your own LUT presets profiles. Okay, so if you know something about this, you know you can purchase specific ones online if you want, or you just do your own. But this is like ready to made types of images you want to create inside Lumion. So this is now a feature in the latest update. But this is not all. You have a lot of settings. Okay, you have pre-done settings like the realistic one and another ones inside the Lumion library, and then you have a lot of effects you can add to your images. A lot of things you can play around. One specifics for animations purposes, other more sketchy feelings and things like this. And you have ray tracing, you have a lot orthographic view, so some of our favorites to try it on. So it's such an amazing software. You don't need any other types of software like Photoshop or things like this. You can just do everything you need here in your Lumion editor. And now you can do what's called a master effect list, and what this is going to do is actually create these settings once, and you're going to be for all your images. So I have 46 photos here, so I'll just custom style my master one and just do all my renderings with the exact same effect. Okay, so this is another option from Lumion. So really cool photo editor, top feature inside Lumion 2023. Lastly, number 5 is animation. More specifically, vegetation animation inside Lumion. So you can really see the wind blowing in your planting. You can really see the garden moving around with the plants, with the wind, if you've chosen more Lumion default library plants. Okay, so don't forget, every time you imported a plant, they are static. You can play around with choosing a static plant together with a Lumion library plant, and it almost seems like they're both moving, to be honest. But you know, when you have more plants in the Lumion library, this comes across in your animations because they're all moving with the wind, etc. So it's an amazing software for that. Just make sure that you do small clips. Animations take a lot of time to rendering, especially high polygon modeling like they are with plants, trees, etc. So really good to see these smaller clips. Just make sure you choose wise because it's going to take you a lot of time to render the animation. But I'll just quickly add a small video, just small clip that really comes across that the wind and the plants moving and the branches, etc. So really cool. So that's my number 5, and I hope you enjoy it. I know Lumion, it's a more pricey software, and we'll discuss this in a future video. But you know what, the end result and the products and the design you create using this type of software, I think, and in my opinion, really pays off the investment that you have to do initially. So thank you guys, thank you for staying with me. See you guys in the next one.